It started that night.
My name is Sheriff Cole Maddox, Cascade County, Montana. I've worn this badge for 14 years. To nothing and, I mean, nothing ever rattled me the way that night on Hollow Horse Trail did. People tell stories about the mountains, all the time missing hikers, echoes that sound like voices, lights where no lights should be, but we always chalk it up to weather, wildlife, or someone drinking on public land. That night proved us wrong. It was November 18th, 2021. Temperature was already in the low 20s, and a storm was sweeping over the northern range. I was heading back to the station after checking an abandoned Chevy pickup near the Canyon Road when dispatch radioed in. Sheriff Maddox, 911 caller reports screaming near Hollow Horse Trail. Caller sounded disoriented. Line disconnected. Hollow Horse Trail wasn't your standard hiking spot. Locals used it for hunting, sometimes for TV rides, but nobody went there after dark. Old ranching families used to say the valley kept echoes that weren't yours. I didn't believe in that kind of thing. Until then, the snow thickened, swirling like white smoke around my headlights. By the time I reached the trail's small parking lot, I saw a single vehicle, dark blue Honda C, RV's driver's door open, engine still running, radio playing, crackling, static. I approached cautiously. Sheriff's office. If anyone's here, call out. No reply. Inside the car was a woman's purse, a half-drunk thermos of coffee, and a folded map of Cascade County. On the passenger seat lay a phone screen cracked, still recording audio. The timer read 17 minutes. I hit play at first, heard nothing but heavy breathing and footsteps crunching through snow. Then a woman whispered, "Someone's following me. I can hear them behind the trees. If anyone finds this static, swallow the rest." My stomach tightened. Fresh footprints led into the woods. 2 sets. One set was definitely the woman's size small, soft heel marks, running pattern. The other. I froze. The second set wasn't shaped like a normal boot print. It looked long, narrow, like someone dragging the front of their foot with each step. The stride was unusually long for a person. And worse, those prints overlapped hers, as if whatever it was had been trailing her closely. Very closely. I radioed dispatch. I'm entering Hollow Horse Trail on foot. Possible missing female. Possible pursuit situation. Send backup, but they're allowing. Static. No return signal. Storm must have knocked the tower. I went in anyway. The deeper I moved, the quieter the world became. Snow absorbs sound, but not like this. It felt like the woods were holding their breath. Every few minutes, I caught glimpses of movement, 3 dark shapes gliding between the trees. It's far off. Not wildlife. Animals don't move like shadows being pulled by strings. I raised my flashlight. Sheriff's office. Identify yourself. Something scraped against bark about 20 yards ahead. A slow, deliberate dragging sound. I tightened my grip on my service weapon and moved forward. After 15 minutes, I saw it, an old wooden ranger outpost, half collapsed, roof caving in. The footprints, both the normal ones and the strange ones, led straight inside. My heart started hammering. I pushed the door open slowly. Sheriff's office. Wind whistled through the broken slats, and then I heard it breathing. Not panicked breathing. Wet, rattling breaths from the back corner. I swept my flashlight around. Come out, slowly. Hands where I can. The beam hit someone crouched against the wall. A woman around 30, face, pale, lips blue, eyes wide. She flinched as the light hit her. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" I stepped forward. "I'm here to help." She shook her head violently. "It's still here." "What's still here?" Her voice cracked. "The thing with the she gagged. The thing that wears people's shapes." Before I could answer, something outside called my name. Not yelled, called calmly, softly, Cole. I felt my blood turned to ice. The woman grabbed my jacket. "Don't go. That's not a person." I stepped back toward the doorway, gun raised. "Who's out there?" The reply came instantly. "Help me. I'm hurt." It was the woman's voice, the exact same voice, only she was standing right behind me. Trembling, she began shaking uncontrollably. That's what it does. It repeats you. It learns your voice. My flashlight beam trembled as a figure appeared outside. At first glance, I thought it was a man tall lean, head tilted unnaturally to the side. But then it stepped into the light, and my breath caught. The creature stood, barefoot in the snow, skin pale as bone, clothes torn as if borrowed from different people. Its legs were too long, arms hanging too low. Its face flickered, features shifting like wet clay. One moment, it resembled a middle-aged man. The next, a young boy. Then it briefly took on my own face, a distorted version. Eyes too large, mouth too wide as if sampling expressions like a mask collection. When it spoke again, it used my voice perfectly. "Cole, help us." The woman sobbed behind me. I fired a warning shot. The thing didn't flinch. Instead, it took one long, dragging step toward the cabin. "Run," the woman whispered. I grabbed her wrist and pulled her outside the back door. Into the storm, the snow was falling harder, turning the forest into a blur behind us. The thing let out a sound that wasn't human. A layered cry, like several voices speaking at once. Some male, some female, some sounding like terrified children. We ran blindly down the slope, branches whipping our faces. My flashlight flickered, then died completely. But the thing didn't need light. We could hear it trailing us, its slow, dragging footsteps sounding impossibly close no matter how fast we ran. The woman suddenly slipped, tumbling down a small ravine. I went after her, sliding on my knees, grabbing onto her coat before she hit the rocks. "You okay?" She nodded, weakly. Above the ridge, I saw the creature standing at the top, its silhouette, hunched, watching us. Lightning flashed for a half a second. I saw its face clearly, a blend of at least 3 different human faces mashed together. Then, darkness again. We pushed forward until we reached the old wooden footbridge near Creek Bend. The water below rushed violently from the storm. "Runoff. Keep going," I yelled, but the boards were slick with ice. Halfway across, the woman screamed. The creature was already stepping onto the bridge. Behind us, its elongated fingers curling around the handrail, nails scraping wood. The whole bridge creaked under its weight. Fired 3 rounds directly into its chest. It staggered, but didn't fall. Instead, it opened its mouth impossibly wide and screamed a sound that felt like it drilled straight into my skull. Multiple voices overlapping in agony. The bridge shook violently. One more step, and the thing would reach us. I made a decision. I pulled the emergency flare from my belt, struck it, and jammed the burning end into the weakest plank of the bridge. The wood snapped. The creature fell, into the raging water below, dragged instantly downstream, its screams fading under the roar. It took us 2 hours to hike out to the highway. Backup finally reached us close to dawn. Search teams combed the creek for days. They never found the creature. Not a bone, not a scrap of clothing, nothing. But they found something else about half a mile downstream. A search deputy found 3 sets of human teeth embedded in the mud, none of them belonging to the missing woman. DNA. Results suggested they came from different missing persons spanning the last decade. The woman was taken to the hospital, treated for hypothermia, and transferred out of state within the week. She refused to stay in Montana. I don't blame her. Sometimes, when I patrolled the North Ridge during winter nights, I swear I can hear someone in the trees whisper, "Cole," and every time it sounds just like my own voice. My name is Sheriff Daniel Rhodes, Peniel County, Arizona. I've dealt with cartel runners, meth cooks, highway drifters, you name it. But nothing in my 12 years prepared me for what happened in the winter of 2019 on a stretch of desert. By the time I reached the barricades, the storm clouds had thinned, leaving the sky a strange, bruised purple. The air smelled like wet dust and creosote bushes. My headlights cut across miles of empty desert. I stepped out of my unit, tightened my jacket, and listened. Nothing but the wind sliding across the sand. I started walking down the closed-off road, boots crunching on broken asphalt. A few minutes later, I spotted fresh footprints in the mud along the shoulder. Bare footprints. No shoes, no socks. Just someone walking barefoot in 40-degree weather. The tracks were smeared and uneven, like the person had been dragging their feet or limping. I followed them for nearly half a mile before I found the first sign of trouble. A torn flannel sleeve caught on a mesquite branch, and underneath it, splashes of blood forming a dotted trail toward the desert. My gut tightened. I radio dispatch. Possible injured subject. Continuing on foot, static answered. The storm must have knocked half the towers offline. I pushed deeper into the desert brush, following the little droplets of blood. They led toward an old abandoned property, sitting alone under a Ridgean old cattle station. People called the Red Silo. A rusty metal silo still stood behind the house, leaning like it would collapse with a single hard wind. Something about the place always felt wrong, even from a distance. As I got closer, I spotted movement near the front porch. Slow, jittery movement. Someone swaying back and forth like they were trying to keep their balance. I raised my flashlight. Sheriff's office. Don't move. The beam landed on a man barefoot, wearing shredded clothing soaked in mud and blood. He looked fatiguish, skinny, shaken violently. His head lifted when the light hit his face, and that's when I felt a prickling sensation run all the way up my spine. His eyes weren't focusing. They were shaking, darting, twitching, like something inside him was trying to look in every direction at once. "Sir, are you injured?" I approached slowly. He took a step toward me, then another. His feet dragged weirdly, like he didn't remember how to walk. "Stay right there," I warned. "Talk to me. What happened?" His mouth opened, but the voice that came out wasn't right. It sounded like two people speaking at once, one whispering, one growling beneath it. It followed me. I took a step back. "What followed you?" His body jerked violently, as if something snapped tendons inside him. His neck twisted unnaturally. He lifted one shaking arm and pointed toward the silo behind the house. Inside that dark metal cylinder, something made a low scraping sound like claws dragging against rusted metal. "Sir, we need to move away from there. Slowly. Come toward me," I said. He shook his head with a sudden, violent spasm. His voice cracked, overlapping in that unnatural double tone. "You can't let it out." Then he lunged on, nodded me past me. He sprinted toward the road, barefoot, bleeding, screaming something I couldn't understand. I went after him, but he was moving with a speed and panic that didn't match his condition. After 20 yards, he collapsed, face first, into the dirt. I rolled him over and felt for a pulse. There was one, but it was faint, erratic. His body shivered like he was freezing. But the temperature wasn't that cold, he whispered. "Something." I leaned closer. "It likes to wear new shapes." Loud bang echoed from the silo. Then another. Something inside the metal cylinder slammed itself against the walls hard enough. That dust rained down and the old beams holding it creaked. The man clutched my sleeve with surprising strength. "Don't open it." Then his eyes rolled back and he went limp. I radioed for backup again, even though I knew the signal wouldn't get through. I dragged the unconscious man to my vehicle and locked him inside. Then I turned back toward the silo. The banging had stopped. The silence that followed was somehow worse. I moved through the dry grass until I reached the base of the metal structure. My flashlight beam cut across patches of rust, bullet holes from kids messing around years ago, and the old chained door that kept the main hatch sealed. Only tonight. The chain was broken, not cut, bent, pulled apart by force. I swallowed hard and lifted my gun. Sheriff's office. Anyone inside? Answer me. No answer, just the wind picking up and the faint groan of old metal settling. I stepped closer. The smell hit me first dried earth, something like wet animal fur mixed with old blood. Something had been living in there or hiding before I could call out again. Kay, the silo echoed with a sound that froze every muscle in my body. It was a voice. My voice. Help me, Daniel. I staggered back. I hadn't spoken. The voice came again. Perfect pitch, perfect tone, my exact voice, but stretched wrong. Like someone was trying to imitate me without understanding human speech. Over here, the sound shifted, changed, warped soon. It wasn't my voice at all. It became the trucker's voice I'd spoken to earlier that evening, the same man who'd called dispatch. Then the overlapping tone returned, doubling, warping into something that didn't sound human at all. Then the silhouette appeared. Something emerged from the dark, an opening of the silo crawling first, limbs scrambling awkwardly before rising to stand. It was almost human. Too tall, too thin, skin grayish, stretched tight. Its face, it flickered, constantly reshaping, pulling features in and out like someone sculpting with trembling hands. Eyes appeared, then melted. A mouth formed, then split. It breathed in wet, rattling gasps, like it was still learning how. When it spoke again, it used the voice of the unconscious man inside my cruiser. Don't open it. My stomach dropped. That thing had been repeating him, listening to him, learning him. I aimed my weapon. Stay where you are. It tilted its head, a jerky, unnatural movement. Then it began walking toward me, wrong, to smooth it wrong. Too smooth, too quiet. I opened fire. 3 shots hit center mass. The creature staggered, but didn't fall. Instead, it let out a layered, agonizing cry, multiple voices, screaming all at once. Like an entire crowd trapped in one shattered body, it rushed me. I fell backward, firing again, scrambling through the dirt as it lunged. Its hand, if you could call it, that swiped across my shoulder, slicing through fabric and skin with something sharp. Adrenaline took over. I grabbed the emergency flare from my belt, struck it, jammed it directly into the creature's chest. It shrieked in a dozen voices and stumbled, backwards, skin blistering under the burning light. It collapsed against the silo wall. The old metal lordy rusted, gave way with a groaning crack, and the entire side of the silo began to collapse inward. The creature tried to rise, but the structure buckled completely and caved in on top of it, burying it under tons of metal and debris. The screaming stopped. Silence returned to the desert. Backup arrived 40 minutes later. They found me bleeding, shaking, sitting beside my cruiser with the unconscious man still inside. When they dug through the silo ruins, they found nothing but twisted steel and sand. No body, no blood, no tracks leaving the rubble. The barefoot man survived. But when he woke up at the hospital, he refused to speak another word. The only thing he wrote on a piece of paper before being transferred to a psych facility out of state was, "It wears whatever it kills." I still patrolled that stretch of desert every winter, and sometimes, when the wind hits the right way, it carries something strange across the sand. Its voice, my voice, calling my own name from somewhere out near the ruins of the red silo. The call came in at 2:47 a.m., the kind of hour when only drunks, insomniacs, is in a truly terrified reach for a phone. I was the night shift sheriff's deputy, covering Pine Hollow County, a rural stretch of winding backroads, abandoned barns, and pine forest so thick your headlights felt swallowed whole. The dispatcher said the caller was a young woman. She whispered only one thing before the line struck. Someone's inside the house, but he's not human. I drove out toward the address she managed to give, a farmhouse sitting miles from the nearest town. Rain was coming down in sheets, the kind of cold November rain that made the world look blurred and ghost-like. The house appeared through the darkness porch, light flickering. One upstairs window glowing a weak yellow. I knocked, announced myself, but nobody answered. The door was cracked open, swaying gently with the wind. Something felt wrong immediately, like the air had weight to it, like something was pressing against my lungs from the inside. I stepped in and found mud prints on the wooden floor, but not shaped like boots, more like long, stretched-out footprints with a sharp point at the front, almost claw-like. The living room was empty, couch knocked over, curtains ripped from upstairs. A soft whimper echoed. I climbed one step at a time, flashlight shaking more than I wanted to admit. Halfway up, I froze. There was breathing. Not normal breathing, wet, heavy, almost clicking between each inhale. It came from the hallway above me. I called out, "Sheriff's office." "Ma'am, if you can hear me, say something." A weak voice from the last door on the right whispered, "Please, help." I rushed down the hall, but as soon as I reached the door, something moved behind me fast. My flashlight beam swung back, catching only a flicker of a shape ducking into another room. Pale, tall, and round, like joints bending in ways they shouldn't. I pushed into the woman's room and found her hiding in the corner, shaking, eyes wide. "It's still here," she breathed. "It keeps coming back. It stands outside my door and listens." Before I could ask a single question, the hallway floorboards creaked, slow, deliberate steps. Whatever it was right outside. I shut the door quietly, told her to stay behind me, and positioned myself with my gun raised. The doorknob twitched, then turned very slowly. My radio suddenly crackled with static loud, violent static that made the woman cover her ears. The door pushed open an inch, then 2 inches, then fully. But nothing stood there, only darkness. I stepped out, sweeping the hallway, every nerve in my body screaming. Halfway down the hall, a cold gust of air rushed past my right shoulder. Then a whisper slid past my left ear. "You're too late, Kay." Spun around, but again, nothing. The woman behind me screamed. I ran back into the room. She wasn't looking at the door. She was pointing at the ceiling. My flashlight followed her shaking finger and froze. Something pale and long-limbed was clinging upside down to the ceiling. Face twisted, eyes wide and glassy, like a deer caught in headlights, but its mouth was open far too wide. It dropped straight onto me. I fired once, twice, 3 times. The creature shrieked, a sound sharp enough to feel inside my skull, then scrambled across the wall like a spider and disappeared down the staircase at impossible speed. I dragged the woman outside and radioed backup, but by the time more units arrived, the creature was gone. Only the strange footprints led into the woods, then stopped abruptly, like whatever it was had stepped into thin air. The woman moved out the next morning. The farmhouse is still abandoned. Neighbors sometimes report screams echoing from the woods on stormy nights. But every time a unit goes to investigate, there's nothing there, except once, about 2 months later, during another storm. A call came to dispatch. Same whispery voice, same house. "The thing you missed. It's back." Then the line went dead.